there's been a lot of chat about the leadership group after the T20 World Cup, and uh, see, my take on this is that if people think the result of the T20 World Cup hasn't been or is not great because we didn't qualify in the knockouts. This is the second time consecutively that India hasn't got into the semi final. That cannot be the only reason or criteria to come to conclusion that you need to change the leader, because I believe that there are few boxes that one need to actually see if the player ticks those boxes. One is, of course, the fitness. I feel is very important. When you talk about fitness, we've seen that Harman in the last 2-3 years, or before that also, you see the physio quite often on the ground every game when she's playing. There are few games that she was unavailable. So you obviously would want your captain to be fit and available for all games. And unfortunately, all of us age, so she's not her fittest. The second thing I would want to talk about is the form. Well, if you see Harman's form in the three World Cups, the Dubai T20 World Cup, the ODI World Cup, and the recently concluded World Cup, we've seen that a pattern is that she gets those 20 runs, 20s, 15, 20 runs, but it always takes her a 3-4 games to get her 50 in the World Cup. So yes, there is that also. So, and the third factor is that does she fit into the scheme of things in the next cycle of your one day World Cup or a T20 World Cup? So I think whoever is in the position to take this decision have to factor these things, whether you tick these boxes. And if you're thinking that only because the T20 World Cup hasn't gone well for India, then there is a change needs to happen there, then I think even the coach is accountable, because both captain and coach take the decisions of the playing 11. I've seen, again, there is a pattern from the Asia Cup that we lost in 2024 or 23 in Sri Lanka, because I was doing commentary then. I've seen a very different combination in the Asia Cup, whereas in the T20 World Cup, they went in with another different combination. The same happened in the ODI World Cup, where you go with six batters and five bowlers throughout the league stage. That was a topic of discussion for the longest time during the ODI World Cup, and then there was a bit of change in the knockouts. The team did well, absolutely. Nobody's taking away the credit. There is credit for all the players who stood up and performed. But when you look back, and you want to rationalize the decisions behind these, a lot of decisions, in fact, just not this, then you fail to comprehend how these decisions are taken. The Indian team did well in the knockouts. We went on to win the ODI World Cup, and the same pattern repeats again in the T20 World Cup, where we don't know who's our number three. I mean, that was the conundrum. Even in the last edition in Dubai, there was a lot of chatter back then also. Even I was questioned on Com live, who's going to come for number three for India. And it was a suspense. And it is still a suspense even after finishing the this World Cup. It's still not confirmed who's your number three batter. And if we talk about every other team, they know that the number three position is such an important slot, and we don't have a player. We are constantly changing the batting order. We don't know who goes number three, number four, number five. Um, so yes, there are a lot of decisions that I seriously don't understand. But overall, I think that yes, there definitely has to be change. There has to be accountability as well. And if you remember, 2 years back, I did say back then that there needs to be change, at least in the T20 World Cup team, because I feel that Harman started to lead T20 format since 2016. It is good 10 years and five World Cups. And Smriti is also, as a vice captain under her, is good 10 years. So, you know, even if there are changes in the coaching department. You have different coaches coming in and out. But as a captain, as a vice captain, you are quite aware of your team. You know your players. You are keeping an eye on the players. So you would definitely want them to, take some very, uh, perhaps take good decisions. But in that sense, yes, I do feel that there needs to be change, but my reasons, of course, has about, like I mentioned, fitness, form, and does she fit into your scheme of things, and not entirely on the result of the T20 World Cup. Well, that is up to the selectors to see, take the decision. But I personally feel um, it's a little bit late. The timing is a little bit late, as you rightly said. I at least thought she would lead the ODI format 2-3 years back, but now I think it's still that she's, with the experience that she has, a vast experience. I think the at least the one day format should be given to her, and perhaps the T20 to someone who's someone younger, I feel, in the T20 format. But one day, clearly you need experience. It's a little longer. Even the test format also, I think, Smriti should be given a go.
So who in the T20 format, which young player you can see has the potential?
Well, see, if we look at only the performance of the players and feel that we don't have anybody, I think that is our own undoing, because in the last since the start of the under 19 World Cup, honestly, I have not seen um, any under 19 player being groomed for the leadership role. And that is where I believe that growth is not just giving players opportunity in the 15 or in the 11. Growth is also about adding players into the leadership group. So far, the leadership group for the longest time has been these two. I have not really seen anybody else lead any other category apart from, like, the seniors, apart from Harman. If not Harman, it is Smriti. But we've never had a third person who we can think that, okay, this person can lead in their absence. And sadly, that's where we are at the moment. But I would like to also state that we've I was able to lead for so long. Harman is able to lead for so long, or Smriti for that matter has gained experience, is because we've people have invested in us. BCCI has invested in us that, okay, give them a good role, give them few years to settle into that leadership role. And when I became captain, I was 22. I didn't have experience. When Harman became 2016 T20 captain, she was a deputy. So everyone who becomes captain perhaps might not have the experience, but you need to give them, right. You need to show confidence that this person has the potential. Now, under 19 World Cup, what's the why do we have under 19 World Cup? To see the players get into the senior team. It's a structure. It's a step. We had India won two under 19 World Cups. First under Shefali Verma, and second under Nikki Prasad. Shefali Verma was not given captaincy after that under 19 World Cup. I've not seen her lead any India A or any other such teams. Why? What's the point then of you giving her to lead under 19? You had some thought, like, okay, she has a little bit of leadership qualities, and that is why you've given her the job of leading an under 19 team, and she's done well. And similarly to Nikki Prasad. But both of them don't get to lead India A. Whereas we've seen Radha Yadav lead India A, when she herself finds it very difficult to play all three formats, finds difficult to get into the first playing 11. So I don't understand the thought process here. Why do then we have under 19? Why do we have camps or potential camps where you pick players, but they're never given a proper opportunities or consistent opportunities? And if you're looking at competing with Australia, who are the topmost team in the world, and they've been consistently at the top, they're doing certain things consistent. we've been very inconsistent in our team selections. We don't have a roadmap. We don't think about 2 years down the lane, where do you see Indian team? Or 3 years down the lane, where do you see Indian team? We are only thinking about series to series. It's bilateral series. Okay, we this year we have a World Cup, so the next three series is important. That is where we end our plan. We don't have a long term plan. We don't see any other player who we think that she's going to be playing for another 5 6 years, so pick her now and groom her. I don't think we have that vision, which is a very sad thing, which should be there with so many players coming up from WPL, players coming from under 19. I mean, strangely, we still have the same players being rotated. For example, Asia Cup, like they're going for Asian Games. Uh, Last year also we had very similar team. Perhaps I think there are just couple of changes from last year to this year. Uh, Maybe Kranti or someone else is coming. But when you talk about the batting, it's the same players. So if we're looking at the future, and if you want that inexperience to turn into experience, then somewhere you need to give these players a go with teams when they tour India, whether it is Ireland, when India is touring Zimbabwe, because they are the series, upcoming series, Asia Cup, where you're going to play with Thailand, you're going to play with other teams, other smaller teams. That is where you need to inject some young players. That's how you slowly inject this young blood and then form a team. We've cracked the ODI World Cup. Great. I'm very happy for that. How are we going to build success on that? It can't be one-off thing. We have the resources, we have the backing of BCCI. BCCI is giving everything to women's cricket now. It's just a matter of thinking, having a long-term plan as well as a short-term plan. But you need to identify players and give them a decent go in certain slots. And one more thing is that, in terms of WPL, you pick players from the WPL setup, whoever is performing. And then when they go and play for India, they play in a very different role. So you pick a player in WPL who play a certain role and perform, and then they go into the Indian team. They are given a different slot, a different role. They don't perform in 1 or 2 games, and then they are out of the Indian team. So how is that fair? So I feel that, one is, of course, all these decisions, there has to be accountability, there has to be answers to all of this, because whether the selectors, team management, leadership group needs to sit together, put their heads together, and just not think about this 3 4 series, but think about 2 years from now. Think about the next ODI World Cup. India is going to they'll have to defend this cup. Are you building a team for the next ODI World Cup? Are you going to build a team for the next T20 World Cup? Australia doesn't really think about bilateral anymore. They know that the bigger prize is the World Cup, and that's how we need to have our vision set. I think Shefali's format is T20, and she has led under 19 World Cup. Why not Shefali? Jemmy, of course, yes, she's got the recently this edition, this year's WPL edition. She led Delhi Capitals. It's again, she was much better from the first game. Obviously, it could be the nerves, but she is also someone who can they look into. But I do believe that whoever they pick, they need to give them some time to settle, because all of us got time to settle in our role as a leader. So you can't really expect them to churn out a magic in the first series that they lead. Just give them some time to settle down in that role is what I would say. But yeah, one of them perhaps. It's because we have the same team playing even against weaker sides. The same team is playing everywhere. So then how are you going to sort of try or give players opportunity? And the players who come in, uh, they hardly get a game or two. There's so much of chopping and changing in the 15, and there's so much of going up and down in the 11. uh, when we talk about let's take about the T20 World Cup, the recent T20 World Cup. The first game, Bharti gets an opportunity in the lower middle order. and she doesn't score runs, she's out of the first. After the first game, she's out. She's warming the bench. Then comes Yastika Bhatia. Now, about Yastika Bhatia in the England series before the World Cup, she was sent at number three. If you do correct me, she was retired on 30 as when she went in as at number three. So that means to say that you're aware that at number three, this is what she gets to the table. So you thought that one opportunity is good enough to sort of bench Bharti and get Yastika back at number three. Then you continue with her for 2, 3 games. And again in the Australia game, Yastika Bhatia is nowhere. Jemmy comes in at number three, and Harman comes at number four. The same thing happened last edition as well. So why is this pattern repeating? That means to say either you don't have a plan, you probably not prepared well for the form for the World Cup, or feel that the players are very good that they are okay to be flexible enough to just switch in whenever they are called upon and switch off, and then you expect them to perform in one game that they get. I think that's very difficult. That's actually very unfair on any player. It is unfair on Bharti, it's unfair on Yastika, it's unfair on even Jemmy has played from 3, 4, 5 slot. uh, and this is the same Jemmy who scored runs in the ODI World Cup. Even there, she was shuffled. I remember she was shuffled even in the T20 World Cup in Dubai. So, how can you expect her to be consistent? And there are a lot of chatter about, oh, she's always in a hurry. Perhaps she's very insecure because she doesn't know what's her role. Um, and then you have Shriyanka Patil got injured on the field. So you get Prema Rawat, who's actually making a debut for India. Before that, she's not played any format. So you get her to swap places with Shriyanka Patil in the 11 for the most important game in the league phase over Radha Yadav, who's already in the 15. So that means to say Radha Yadav is not good enough, but you want Prema Rawat, who's traveled and gets a go against South Africa, and she doesn't do well, so she's benched. Then Radha Yadav is brought into the 11. So why was Radha Yadav not brought in for the main game? When Prema Rawat has not made debut, so obviously she doesn't have experience of the big stage. She's making a debut for India against South Africa in the most important game for India in the World Cup. How, I mean, I don't understand the rationale behind that decision either. And then the big thing is about retiring Jemmy in the last over, in the 20th over. You've already done that before with Yastika in the England series. Um, the coach has the vantage point of sitting in the dugout and watching the game unfold. You're in the best position to take decisions, and then you do that. Um, I don't know. I mean, uh, I'm still trying to figure out, as a former cricketer, I'm trying to understand what could be the reason to send Richa for that one ball. I mean, Jamie would have done that. Perhaps she would have ran well between the wickets as well. Uh, so but then I feel that there is no, there has to be some accountability, right? Now that the team is doing well, and then you hear him say that, there's inexperience in the bowling department. Well, I disagree with that, because obviously you have Renuka Thakur again, who didn't play the first few games. You bring her back. She's played World Cups before, T20 World Cups. Your Deepti Sharma is experienced. Arundhati Reddy is experienced. They've all played T20 World Cups. Radha Yadav is experienced. She's also played T20 World Cups before. It's just Kranti and Charani who's played the first T20 World Cup. So how can you say that you have inexperience? So, and even if you do have inexperience, how are you going to give these girls experience? That's the whole thing, right? How are you going to give them experience? So, yeah, I mean, we can, as sitting in the com box, yes, these are my, these are what I studied. But um, I also know that being there are a lot of things people do under pressure. Uh, and we are human, mistakes do happen. But if you're repeating the same mistake time and again, then there's something one needs to really address that concern. I feel that, see, fast bowling is obviously a skill which also goes hand in hand with fitness, and I believe that we do pick sometimes we pick players when they are still growing, in the sense, apart from the skill, they're still understanding what is the fitness regime as a fast bowler that you need to go through or you need to follow. And with a lot of, or with number of games increasing every year, and the year calendar getting pretty busy for the cricketers, for the women cricketers, I think one needs to understand that when you hit an elite level, it is more to do with your fitness. You will not forget your skill in a day or two. But if you don't do fitness regularly, I mean, it does show in the way you run, your reach, your muscles. Um, and yes, we do have a lot of pacers, but most of them are injured. That is something that I'm sure BCCI and the staff is looking into. But yes, we did have, I think, Pooja Vastrakar again. She came back from injury, but haven't really seen her bowl in the WPL. There's Titas again from the Under 19 World Cup. She got injured, but I don't know if she's fit or she's just out of or out of that potential players that the selectors have. But I think they really need to work on their fitness. I've seen Julian really work, put in the hard yards when it comes to fitness, trying to strengthen her muscles, because fast bowling is a hard skill, and perhaps they need to have more camps where you're focusing on a bunch of fast bowlers, educating them on their fitness regimes as well, apart from the skill. Well, fielding, I will say that the girls do put in effort. It's not that they don't. We do have a fielding coach with the team traveling, and they do have fielding sessions exclusively. So it's not that the girls don't put in the effort. Um, but I guess sometimes it also boils down to your individual training. Like all of us, when we go back home, we are all focusing on our batting, on our bowling, but not not particularly on fielding. We only do that when we come into the camps. There might be some players who would be working on their fielding. I'm sure, the best of the ones would be also working on fielding. But as a team, if we want to do well, as a team, if you want to get better in terms of fielding, I think it's just not in the camps that you do fielding sessions, but when you're at home, when you're uh, giving or putting in some time for your skills, the same amount of time if you put to fielding, I think perhaps we'll come together as a better fielding unit. First, we need to identify, apart from the openers, who are our top order batters. There are slots, like, there's a number three slot. Richa does play the finisher's role. But again, when it comes to her, also sometimes I believe she gets very less balls to actually show the impact or play that impactful knock. We've not really, in the sense, taken decisions when to send her so we can optimize the skill that she gets to the table. And of course, we do have Richa, but yeah, it would be great to see perhaps two, three more, vying for that slot. And again, it is up to the management and selectors to perhaps see from the domestic or in WPL at that slot, if you have anybody who perhaps may not score every game, but at least know that out of 5 games is pulling off two impactful knocks. Maybe you can include or have them in the mind and give them again the opportunity in that slot, so that they are aware that this is the role and I need to work on it. And that's how maybe you can have even camps also. So yeah, it comes down to picking players and nurturing them or grooming them for that particular role.